everyone, today's lesson is lesson 49 and it's solving multi-step word problems. And this is exactly how it sounds. It's just when you're looking at a word problem, really slowing down and making sure you're going step by step. These are, you're going to build on skills that you've been developing since third grade and before. So taking a look at our learning target for today, it's just that one. It's just to solve multi-step word problems. When I take a look at these, and I'll get more in depth when we look at our 3 examples today, but when I look at these, honestly, some of the best strategies I use are just to go slow, really pay attention to the information that I'm given step by step, excuse me, and then oftentimes I think about it almost like working backwards. That helps me solve things. If I break down my information and I kind of start where they leave off in the problem and work my way backwards, that seems to help me. Let's take a look at our first example here. Huang is 5 years older than Robert. Robert is 3 years older than Sally. Sally is 15 years old. How old is Huang? So I won't even ask you to pause this quite yet. I'm going to walk through this as an example, and I think this one does a fine job setting us up for working backwards. So I'm actually going to start here. Ultimately, we're looking for how old Huang is, but our last piece of information that we're given is that Sally is 15 years old. So I'm just going to use abbreviations. We have, one moment. We have Sally. Why is this red? Okay, that's much better. We have Sally is 15. Let's back up one step prior to that. We have Robert is 3 years older than Sally. So I'm going to use R for Robert. 3 years older than Sally. Well, 15 plus 3 is 18. Now let's back up one step before that. We have Huang is 5 years older than Robert. So we're going to find Robert's data right here. And it tells us that Huang is 5 years older than him. So we have 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. Huang is 23. I'm running out of room here. Years old. Oh dear. That handwriting is terrible. 23 years old. That label's important. Let's take a look at example 2, and I will ask you to pause this after I read it. Try it on your own and then unpause the video when you're ready to check your work with mine. Example 2 says this. Liam earns $16 for every hour he works. That's a pretty good job. If he works for more than 8 hours on a given day, he earns $24 for each additional hour. Yesterday, Liam worked for 10 hours. What was his income for the day? So go ahead and pause and unpause to check your work. Okay, so you can see here I've jotted down a little bit of my thinking. I know that in this given day he worked 10 hours, and just to back up to some of the information that we were given, if he makes $16 an hour for every hour that he works on a normal day, up to 8 hours. If he works more than 8 hours, he makes this much. So just some basic math, we're going to take these 10 hours that he worked. The first 8 hours that he worked, he made $16 an hour. So we're going to have 8 hours at or times $16 an hour. And then those additional 2 hours, which bring us up to the 10 hours, those 2 additional hours, he made more. He made the $24 an hour. We're going to find those subtotals, add those together, and get one grand total for the day. So even without solving this, it tells us that he had a pretty successful day of work when we're talking in monetary terms. So we have 8 times 16. I know that 8 times 16 is 128. And then 2 hours at $24 an hour is an additional $48. When I add those together, I get a grand total for the day of $176. Not a bad day of work. That dollar sign is your label. It's super important. Let's take a look at this last example. This one's a little bit different, and it takes some kind of open-minded thinking as to how to view things as a formula. So here's what it says. Last night, Kiara studied for twice as long as Tempest, and Alondra studied for 10 minutes more than Kiara. Tempest studied for 40 minutes. Which expression can be used to find the number of minutes Alondra studied? So which expression here could represent Alondra's information? Go ahead and give this a try. And honestly, if it helps, maybe look at each different expression down here and see if it fits the information given. That's a form of working backwards. So take a look at the expression, apply it to the information that we were given, see if that makes sense. See if you can identify which one is the correct answer, and unpause your video when you're ready for me to talk through it. All right, so looking at my information given, way up at the top here, it says Kiara studied for twice as long as Tempest. So then I shoot to the end of my information and recall that it says Tempest studied for 40 minutes. So really in place of Tempest in my head, I'm thinking 40 minutes. Kiara studied for twice as long. When I see something that's written as twice as long, I know that means times 2. Twice as long means times 2. So we have 40 times 2. So it could be A or B. We're not dealing with dividing. So process of elimination, there are 2 C's here. First of all, that doesn't make sense. I just realized that. That's ridiculous. Okay, so it's not those ones because we're dealing with multiplying. We're twice as long. And Alondra studied for 10 minutes more than Kiara. And we're asking what expression here could represent Alondra. Alondra studied for 10 minutes more. Well, going back to those 3rd grade skills of working through word problems, 10 minutes more would look like plus 10, right? Not minus 10. It would look like plus 10. We have a plus 10 here and a minus 10 here. By process of elimination, we have determined that the correct answer is A. And just to double check, Tempest, 40 minutes. Kiara was twice as long, and then